you mad at?
No, it was a taxi. I didn't even stop. Hey, 60 in 2 weeks. Whoa. Is he still there? Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think he... Yeah, what's going on? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Volpe Basil Report. I'm your co-host, Dominic Volpe. To my right is Andy Basil.
I just can't believe it's the summer and you're here. You're not down at Villa Volpe sucking my
I can't
cock.
believe we are here because we've been told every month that this is the last show, and here we are 6 months later, and we're still here.
July 2nd, yes. So
That's right. All right, so first off, Marianne McCarroll, hello, how are you? Our number one fan. And with us tonight, last month we had 7 hits on our show. So Marianne was 1 and Andy hit it 6 times. So there's the people watching.
that works. It works.
Tonight we have two special guests, not one. We have Michael Grace running for county legislator in District 4.
Yeah.
And also Matt Slater, who's running for Yorktown supervisor. Yep. Welcome aboard, fellas.
Thank you.
Yeah, right now, Matt has an announcement to make before we go.
Very important.
Very important.
Just want to wish a happy birthday to my grandmother at home. I'm not going to tell you how old she's turning, but she turns. Her birthday is coming up later this month, so just a happy birthday to Nan.
You could say how old because
she won't talk to me.
Is she between 60 and 70?
Not quite.
A little older?
A little older.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
No, because I admit my mother's old. In fact, I looked at her the other day. Her fingernails were wrinkled. That's how old she is.
Ba-da-boom.
Now, a couple of things trending in the media, social media right now. The first thing that's trending is you got our state senator, Peter Hartman, bragging that Governor Cuomo signed the tax increase for Westchester County. And he's bragging at the same time saying, but I didn't vote for it. However, I believe that it wasn't necessary for his vote. Matt, give him a quick synopsis how it works in Albany, because you spent about 6 years up there?
4 years in the state senate, and then another 5 in the assembly. So
right, so more than that, not
Oh,
years.
wow.
Yeah. But I mean,
Steve's doing well.
Again, to
shout out to Steve Katz.
Steve Katz had open heart surgery last week, but he's home and he's doing well. So
got out of the hospital
speedy
today,
recovery to Assemblyman Katz.
And there's a guy that didn't smoke.
Yeah, no, he was.
Well,
didn't
inhale, maybe. But
maybe.
A cigarette.
But to your point, Andy, I mean the process in Albany is such that they do give political cover to people who can't take certain votes. And we all know Westchester County, highest tax county in the United States of America. If you're a state senator or a state representative in what's considered a swing district, that is a bad vote to take. And so obviously, the folks in Albany in Senator Harkin's conference recognized the position that he be put in if he did vote for it. And so they gave him the political cover that you and I discussed that allowed him to vote no. So he votes no, but says yes after the fact. Now that it's been signed into law.
Mike, but the
But
question
he's a Cuomo lackey if there ever was one. I mean,
he did work for the governor, directly.
He ran to stop what's his name from winning, Creston, from being the Democrat. They knew that Terrence would kick his butt in a general election.
Well,
but what I'm saying, if they needed Hartman's vote,
they would have had it. There's no doubt.
That's how it works.
There's no doubt. You would have had a leader. The leader would have called a conference vote. We've been there before, and good, bad, or ugly. And when the leader calls a conference vote, you are expected to vote for that bill, regardless of what the political ramifications are.
Because like Congress, they really don't bring a bill to the floor unless they have the votes. They know they have the votes.
Correct. Unless there's a mistake that they bring it onto the floor without knowing the votes beforehand. Unless if it goes to the floor, the expectation is it's going to pass.
Okay. It was a unanimous vote at the county legislative level too, right?
It was 12-0. Just yesterday, they had to do a special vote on it It was 12-0, I believe, with 5 absent.
All the Republicans, right?
I believe no. There were some Republicans who voted for it.
The tax increase?
Yep.
What the?
But
Then they want to know why Republicans are losing power in New York.
Right. Well, they also, he's Matt's running for supervisor. But what they did in order to sell it on the Westchester County level, and they got Republican supervisors,
Correct,
to back it, because supposedly the tax increase was in order to was done in order to close the county budget gap, or actually to add to the surplus for their bond rating, because they didn't really need it because they had a surplus. They just didn't have all the surplus they wanted, and I guess they got a bond downgrade by from AAA to AA plus, which is actually no money at all when you're out to bonding. It doesn't make any difference, but they did it in order and sold it to the town supervisors for support, and Republican town supervisors, by telling them that you're going to end up sharing in the sales tax increase, I think at a rate of about 10% to 20%.
Correct.
So they basically bribed the support from the town supervisors, which I find to be outrageous, because having been a town supervisor, you're going to be a town supervisor. Our objective was, county, state, stay away from us. We can take care of our own. And we, all they do is interfere with you. They don't really help you at all. This is kind of a bribe in order to get them to move along. And then the final carrot on the stick was this commitment to freeze property taxes, which is not in any legislation. It just happens to be a
well, that's what they pitched. It was a taxpayer protection act, right?
Yeah, we're going to raise your taxes to protect you. I like that argument.
Well, then if you see the recent press conference by the county executive, I think it was just yesterday, he was laying out new spending. So are we stopping the growth of the tax levy so that we're not increasing taxes, or are we finding new ways to spend new money? That is exactly what is happening.
Right. And if you're good Republicans like Matt and myself, what you do, the way you govern is you govern on being fiscally tight and prudent, and don't have your government spill over into all sorts of spheres where they really should not be in the first place.
I mean, they're having that thing here, but you're aware of in Peekskill with this about the traffic lights, fixing the lights. What do you hear at the store about this?
Well,
it's an important issue.
Yeah, but
they're talking $4 million on something that the Peekskill residents were told was already a done job.
Yeah.
And now they want this guy to come in and do the job that people thought they already paid for.
Yeah, they won't. It's people are kind of in the middle. They don't know where the hell this is going, because we.
What do you think?
You build the Taj Mahal for your fire department.
Yeah. Well, that's Mayapack had to build one, so we decided to.
But hopefully, all the money for the Peekskill went actually to the construction.
Actually, that was something that was instituted by Mary Foster, where it was a sales tax that was on the sale of a home as you left. It was 1%, and that was put into a.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that's really. I mean, it's a transfer tax.
Right.
Yonkers has it too. If you go to sell your house in Yonkers, all of a sudden you get it's another 3%.
Yes.
But they don't let. They're constantly hurting the little guy, because the little guy.
Yes.
You know what? Somebody they spent their whole life busting their ass in their community, contributing in all sorts of ways. And they're finally saying, "Look, I made my nest egg. I'm going to get out. I'm going to go. I'm going to retire. And all of a sudden, they get hit with this other, goodbye. This is your president on the way out the door.
You guys are going to find this unusual from hearing from me.
Yeah.
That firehouse was necessary. The other firehouses in Peekskill were antiquated. Couldn't even hold the new trucks. They were that small.
No, not only that.
That was necessary.
But the
I understand. I understand, but I'm going to just from an outsider's point of view, when I pull into Peekskill, it's one of the better looking buildings in all of Peekskill.
Oh yeah,
they did a good job.
They did a beautiful job.
The problem is, and I had the discussion even in Yorktown. We have a highway garage in the middle of town. It's a dump, but it's in the middle of town. And the thing is that corner is prime real estate in Peekskill. do you really want one of your prime pieces of real estate to be occupied by a tax-exempt firehouse when there's probably lots of properties available? And do you need to spend? I mean, it's the old. In the Renaissance, the kings and queens commissioned the artists to
Right.
build the. But
Right.
I mean, did you need to?
I think that's one of the reasons, though, that's why they spent more money, because they didn't just want to put 4 bays up. They really try to make it a centerpiece to the city, and they did
Well,
it.
but
they
that's
did it-
yeah.
they did a
But it's
pretty
kind
good
of an
job.
odd thing to make. I mean,
No,
nothing against your
No, but your
firefighters. I love
idea-
them to death. but-
Your idea in Yorktown, which I'm assuming Matt is still in favor of trying to do, was to get the highway department out of the center of town and put it
Up by the sewer plant. Yeah.
by the sewer plant, and then this way you had the center of town's real estate that could be put on the tax
Well,
rolls.
the way we look at it is that, I mean, when you're looking to, and Peekskill's done a fairly good job at trying to create a renaissance, because it really has. Division Street, and you got a lot of activities going
And now
on.
Brown Street with the building's going to have restaurants and apartments and businesses. It's going to be a multitask.
No, yeah, I mean, you're doing a great job. I mean, absolutely. I'm not saying it's criticism. I don't know if it's small or big criticism. It's criticism in the sense that you really want you don't want your prime corner or one of your prime corners in the city to be off the tax rolls. When you can when
It's
there's
one of those, it's 50 of one, or because
But they did want it centralized,
Yeah.
and there were
Yeah, but
very
that-
few areas that offered that centralization.
Did they have to do it? Did they own that, or did they have to do eminent domain?
Eminent domain.
they purchased that from the owner.
Yeah, well,
Eminent
it's the same
domain.
eminent
No,
domain.
I don't think so. In that case, it was part of the part of the shopping center. That fellow
Yeah.
owned part of that,
And the
then
Yale
there were- and there
Epstein
were two-
house.
right? And they bought that. They just purchased it outright. That's all.
But I'm assuming you're in favor.
getting
of
back
still
to
moving
Matt.
I know. I said I'm assuming you're still in favor of moving Highway Garage.
I mean, I think that we need to look at it. I think there's a lot of opportunities to improve the settings that our workers are using right now, whether it's the Parks Department, the Highway Department, even in Town Hall. I think a lot of what our infrastructure, especially governmentally, needs to be enhanced and upgraded.
But didn't
There's
the
no doubt about
present
it.
government now in Yorktown lose the money that was earmarked for that?
So my understanding is, and Michael can speak to this, I think more specifically. My understanding is yes. I can tell you
Well,
that.
you helped bring the money to Yorktown.
Yes, yep. We were. Well, it wasn't just that. It was also $300,000 for lights at Granite Knolls that they that they fumbled, and then they claimed that they found $700,000 in savings in the same way, which I don't understand how that's possible.
Talk about sophistry. Okay,
No,
you
go
got
ahead.
it. With Granite Knolls, I'm handing it off to him, and we had a meeting, a transitional meeting. And I said, the Granite Knolls was all done, the contracts were out. The last thing that had to be purchased was the lights. That was the last thing on the table. So we had preliminary, kick the tires on what they would be, what we needed, blah, blah, blah. There was still some design considerations because it was 2 fields, and they actually had lights going down the middle of 2 fields. We didn't want to do that because we wanted to have use it both length and width.
To expand it in case.
Yeah, because it was you could lay out with 2 so it had a lot more flexibility if you did the perimeter lights rather than down the middle. So they had different lights at different heights. So we were doing all this. Anyhow, with Matt's help and Senator Murphy, we ended up securing $300,000 commitment from the state to purchase lights. I on a transitional meeting, and I have it because I actually notes in the tape, and I told them twice on the way out the door. There's $300,000 in a grant. $300,000 in a grant.
Do not purchase don't
And
purchase the lights until the grant is executed.
Right. And so they went out, and so they ended up they completely fumbled because what happened is the supervisor's office, and I'll give Lonnie Gilbert credit. He absolutely understood that he was completely incapable of managing the project. So he gave it away, the management, to the Rec Commission, which the only problem that he had was they were more incapable than he was in managing the project. So they ended up giving it to them. And then, so now the boast is they ended up shopping the lights, which they should have done. At least we had somebody in the Parks Department that knew what they were doing, and they ended up, instead of paying, we had budgeted, I think, $1.1 million to $1.2 million for the lights. They came in at $700,000. So he's touting that he saved $700,000. No, he spent you know, he said he's renegotiation,
Renegotiated,
but there wasn't any negotiation. Renegotiation means you already made a deal and then you're negotiating again. It wasn't
Right.
that. So, but actually, he blew $300,000.
$300,000.
And
Free money.
And the thing is that you know what drives I always say he's a nice guy. He's not a nice guy. I sit there. I tell Matt's got to keep me out of the. I got to keep out of the local stuff.
Try to box him out sometimes.
Because I sit there, he's on the Facebook saying, "Oh, when I came in, I got granite nose. I had granite nose with a big hole in the ground," and I'm thinking, "You son of a bitch!" That thing was, ready to be, it was
handed
just
to you.
it was
On a
handed to you
platter.
on a platter, and it just needed to, and you guys flubbed it for.
So, Matt, how much would you say so far that the current administration in Yorktown has lost? Meaning, because when it's grant money,
Yeah.
it's free
Gone.
money.
It's
free money.
So that's gone. So
I think we've talked about this before. It was $300 for the lights. It was $500,000 from the Senate for highway.
And it's Restore New York money.
No.
All right.
That's separate and aside.
Okay.
So it was $500,000 from the Senate that we got 2 allocations for the highway.
That was over 700,000.
$700,000, and then there was the $500,000 from $500,000 was Restore New York.
Yeah.
So you're looking you're looking close to
1.5.
$1.5 million in free money that we were able to secure through state grants that the current administration has completely missed the boat
and
on.
what's the budget in Yorktown on a given year?
It's
52
about
million?
It's the total budget. It turns about 120 million, but about 57 is the budget between all the different
So 1.5.
special districts.
So 1.5 divided into the.
So you're talking about
52
3,
million,
4%.
3-4%.
Of the total budget, and
Right.
of the tax levy, because the tax levy is about 30 million,
Right.
so it's actually, more. So that it's 1.5 of 20. So I don't know, whatever that is. It's like almost 20. It's 8%, 9%, and then but on top of it,
So in the last 2 years, what have been the tax rates?
it would have been the last. It would have been the tax cap for the next 3 or 4 administrations. But
Right.
what's actually even more disheartening about it is that it's absolutely amazing. Like you can agree or disagree, or as Matt says, maybe you need to study and do some fine tuning as to what was on the table for revitalizing the Heights area. But the Heights area also included to redo the railroad old railroad
park.
station.
Yep.
It also was we ended up doing a historic preservation of a 250-year-old barn that was supposed to be
Zeno's barn, right?
reconstructed by Zeno barn, and we had and now we have the Pines Ridge Monument, which ended
And
up
also Patriot Park, right? Didn't you do Patriot Park as well?
yeah, and we had a big fight over the monument going to where it was. The momentum was there. Now this guy, and this you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. So he gets in and he says, well, you know what? We have to do economic revitalization for the Heights area. And you're thinking, well, you idiot, you look what. There was something already. It was all laid out for you, and it wasn't just my idea. This was planning. This was going. This is
It gone through the process.
This is going through a lot of a
Yeah,
process. So what we're going to do is we're going to make up a committee, and it really is hilarious. So they get a committee. And they have a committee. What's it called?
The Economic Revitalization Committee.
Board or something like that. And
And
these guys get together.
EDRC.
You know what? The committee members are
If
sweet.
you want to stop something, just put it in
Right.
committee.
That's it.
But the committee are really, they're sweet people. They're committed. They're
yeah.
nothing.
Well-intentioned,
Well,
of course,
absolutely.
always,
And
always.
they're sitting there. Well, maybe we should go to. So now you're starting from you're starting from scratch
Yeah.
with a committee of people that have no institutional history about anything that's going on, where you completely skewed what your planner, who's been there for 20 years,
Right.
and a
Or-
whole team had come up with, and you had money
Yeah.
to execute,
Yeah.
and he's sitting there going, "Duh, we need an idea," and I'm thinking,
Actually, to the point where the Journal News ran an article just a couple weeks ago,
Right.
And it said they looked at downtown revitalization plans. They did Chappaqua, they did Pleasantville, they did Mount Kisco. Gave them high marks across the board. They characterized Yorktown as looking for ideas. It's just we can do better. We can raise the bar.
I'm glad you brought this up because it just hit me. And this is your district and your town. The old Ted Hill farm on East Main Street in Jefferson Valley. I grew up, that was a farm. I knew Ted. I learned what I know from backdoor politics. I learned from Ted Hill. Him and my grandfather
He was
were
the- he was the town
So
supervisor.
we know what Ground
No.
Zero is, right?
Right, Ground Zero's Ted Hill. And him and my grandfather were close friends. I'll
Yeah.
Well,
tell
yeah,
you what I know.
you told me about your grandfather
Gonna tell
over
you
on the
what I
lake.
know. You know how the new Route 6, what we call the new Route 6,
Yeah.
goes around the lake and then
Yeah.
curves around the property by the Jefferson Valley Mall. That was supposed to go straight through, but it turned out that it was Ted Hill's property. It was going to go straight through. So Ted Hill and my grandfather go out and move the stakes. And that's why Route 6 bends the way.
amazing.
Because they moved the stakes. And my grandfather said, well, it's his answer. He says, Nino, he says, I know what I'm doing. I'm in charge of this. Nobody's going to say a word. But I learned politics from him. But anyway, they want to build a development on
Yeah.
that property.
Yeah.
My problem, and maybe you guys could answer this, the high wire lines up there.
Well,
How are they going to allow them to build a property with those high wire lines? That's a major conduit of the electric.
I think there's, I mean, this is not a new idea. It came through up in our
around for a while.
administration in a
Yeah.
while. And the thing is, there's a lot of problems with it, and they're floating that balloon. I think it's not getting much,
There's a lot of opposition in the
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
Well, I know
There's
that.
a lot of
and I'm
opposition in the
saying-
community. There's questions about traffic. There's questions about runoff. There's questions about from your standpoint with the,
everything is
with the
traffic,
power lines.
and I ignore traffic because you're going to, it is what it is. I see those. They can't move the power lines.
Yeah, the power lines are staying.
Yeah, no, they're not going anywhere.
And you
Those are
hear all these
high-tension power
things
lines.
about cancer.
Right.
Who's going to buy a house?
Oh, you'll be surprised.
Okay, that's
There's a lot of Democrats out there.
but they also want to destroy the hill houses that are there. One
Yeah,
of them
Phil,
is
that's all-
historic,
yeah,
and one of
yeah,
them is
yeah.
historic. And I'm saying to myself, there's got to be opposition to that.
There's a lot of
There is.
There's a lot of opposition about the overall
yeah,
project,
yeah.
and it's not concentrated in one area either. A lot of people are trying to characterize this as a Jefferson Village only opposition. It's not, because
It's
I've
not,
heard from
it's-
people on both sides of 6 and 6N. I've heard from people from Mohegan Lake. I was knocking on doors tonight in Mohegan Lake.
This is
You know,
this is trying to make a silk's purse out of a sow's ear.
So you don't see it getting any traction. What
I
about
don't.
you, Matt? You see it getting any traction?
No, I don't. I mean, I know that the current administration and the current supervisor has indicated that they want to see it get done, but I just don't see, if you're listening to the people who you're supposed to represent, I don't see how that's a fair statement.
See, what bothers
Could
me,
this be
your
just a
town-
fluff piece, like kind of diversion? Just
Well,
to
you know
make
what?
it look like they're doing-
I'm going to tell you, if you're familiar with the area,
Yeah,
and that 6N corridor, and just 6N.
It's supposed to be country commercial.
Yeah, 6N becomes a bypass for 6. People don't go down 6 because there's no lights on 6N.
Right.
And it's easier, actually quicker, and so if you're coming from Mayapack,
used to
When
do it
I
all the
grew
time.
up, that was Route 6.
That's what you-
just so
but
you
you
know.
When
avoid-
our district office was right on 6N.
you avoid 6, you go to 6N
Yeah.
because and then if you go to, where's the bowling alley? What's that? Is that not Hill? That's
That's
No, that is Hill.
Yeah, that's
That is
Hill.
Hill.
Yeah.
That's
There's
Hill.
a terrible intersection. And the thing is that it's funny. Just before I left as supervisor, we were trying to get the planner to actually do some type of there's a lot of properties on the north side of Osceola Lake which are dilapidated. And they actually took down, I guess, the old Wet Willies or whatever it was finally.
Yeah.
But that needed some
that
sprucing
whole
up. And,
corridor needs
yeah,
help.
Yeah.
but you need major infrastructure improvements, especially in the road, because the road as it's laid out is bad.
It's
Right.
substandard.
And so you have to got to change the whole configuration of the road. And
You know how you do it? Local waterfront revitalization plan, because we got Lake Osceola added to the inland waterway list for New York State.
Now that's something you've been talking about. 1 second.
I didn't mean to cut him off, but
No,
that's,
this is important.
that's how you do
because
it.
People, I grew up. There were no pools. You swam in the lake.
I swam in Lake Osceola
You
growing up
can't
as
swim
a
in the
kid.
lakes anymore. Now you've got what's going on with Junior Lake and Lake Mohegan.
yeah.
What is all this?
So they just added 3 more lakes to the state's inland waterway list.
What does that mean?
So that means now that the town can engage in what's called a local waterfront revitalization plan, and they
You
awarded
get grant money too, right?
$15 million last year in grants, from everything to public access, environmental conservation,
Cleanup.
green stormwater retrofits. a number of things.
Will
a number
people
of
be
things.
able to use the lake again?
Absolutely.
That's the point I'm saying.
100%. Just look at the projects that they use the LWRPs for. It's to actually increase recreation and increase access. And you do that by improving the lake, whether it's Sparkle Lake, which is right by my house. People
I
are
grew
complaining.
up on Osceola.
I was there Friday night. We were there at the Lions dinner, right? And I looked out the window, and it's green. It's green because it's just because of the phosphorus.
Breaks my heart. I really can't look at it. It breaks my
It
heart.
No, you know, I look. You know what? I love this guy. And I think that and Lonnie, I think, is just completely in over his head, and totally incompetent. If you're going to end up, if the town's going to start back, moving in the right direction on all these aspects, you need somebody that is at least familiar with how how
Listen,
all the
even
levels
you were
of
in
government.
favor of him being on the council. He would have been a good councilman,
but
not an executive.
right,
not an
right,
executive.
right. And
But even when during that
Right.
time, you wanted to put him on the council.
yeah.
And
no
because
good
you
deed,
respect,
right?
but you respected his honesty.
Yes, well, I think he had it at that point.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm just saying, but he's not an executive.
No.
And this is the point I'm trying to get people to see about you. You have those executive qualities.
Well, not only that, but it's just by listening here, what it sounds like, Matt's got a conduit to understand how the state works when they deal with any issue that is a town issue.
Right.
So, like for example, like you said just now with the waterfront or whatever that, how do you get it done? That the preservation committee get that. That's the thing. That's the seed that gets that thing rolling. Whereas just sitting there saying, "What are we going to do today?"
but my-
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
All of life is execution. You can
Right.
you can
Right.
spew all the
You can talk- you can wake up in
platitudes
the
you
morning
want,
and talk
but
about all you
execution
want.
is
See,
See,
everything.
how
but
do you
my
get it
problem
done?
with Jefferson Valley is Yorktown doesn't need more houses. It needs more business.
Right.
It
Yeah.
needs more commercial. Now, if you want to put commercial in that area,
That's
man,
a tough. That's a
In Jefferson Valley, it'd be
on the
tough.
Theodore Hill property. That would
That'd
be
be
a
tough.
That would,
why you already got commercial? You got a
Oh,
bowling alley.
I'm going to tell you.
You got a shopping center right down the road.
But none of them are really accessed from 6N. They're accessed from Bank
Road,
and
yeah.
and Hill.
And Hill, yeah.
They're
that's
not
the problem.
accessed from. Claremont did a nice, beautiful building right on the shores of Osceola Lake. It's
Right.
gorgeous.
Right.
But you and the thing is, the whole idea was to turn the corner with some of that type of mixed-use development and take and what we were looking to do is do a master plan so that you could do a plug and play, so the property owners wouldn't be sitting there saying, "I got to make a big investment in soft costs," with more than the property's worth. I mean, there's small little properties. They can't go into the approval process unless it's an aggregate. Plan of development.
And correct me
So
if I'm wrong, though, you have major sewer problems over there as
well,
well.
that's the hope. You would start to put all that together, but you can't have the one guy who's. I mean, those properties were selling. The $125,000, $130,000 properties.
We got 2 minutes.
How's it-
We got a little bit,
so-
but you got the golf course. What the hell's going on with that?
Which
Which one, the par 3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
but
one where they clear cut all the trees?
yeah, what's going on there now?
Yeah, that's the record.
That was the old Indian Hill or something.
No,
No.
Park Three golf
Fields.
course.
Fields.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one on the right.
It
Yes.
was an agreement with a gentleman, Rocco Canberry, and he got pancreatic cancer at 50 years of age. Died. Great guy, really
he was
sweetheart of a man.
Yes.
And very sad situation. I think in deference to his survivors and his estate, his wife and his dream, they
to build this golf course, right?
I think they're in breach of the real agreement that was in place.
I think the Arnold Palmer Foundation's involved. or
Yeah,
something
but
like
so
that?
everybody kind of. I think you know what? It's not technically. It's probably not right. They probably should have considered the thing and his entity in breach of the whole thing and started
Right,
over. But
right.
I think in deference to the gentleman
I think
and
they were
his
going to
memory.
do anything with it.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're moving ahead. I think
I know that they were at the Parks and Rec Commission a few months ago. They were laying out plans, about what they were doing moving forward. In the winter, they talked about having an ice rink possibly. That was sparking some interest. This way they continue to use the property, in all seasons. But that's
and the big hurdle they got over. They used to you couldn't hook up to the sewer,
Right.
And the septic was an issue. But I think they resolved.
So,
that.
Mike, before we close, what message do you have for the people that are hearing all this stuff on social media and the local papers? What message do you have so they can get through?
We're cut off.
Yeah.
Too late. I'm going to do a
tell
Joe.
him now.
I'm going to do a Joe Biden. My time is up.
This is where you could tell them.
True story with Ted Hill. Massachusetts when I say that I learned politics.